I was still in shock when I walked into Cheryl's office. The hospital had called that morning. My dad was gone. Heart failure, no warning, just gone. I stepped through the doorway, already knowing I was going to have to ask for something she wouldn't want to give. Cheryl sat behind her oversized desk, like always, typing like her keyboard owed her money. "Hey," I said, clearing my throat. "I need a few days off. My dad passed this morning. The funeral's in Indiana, so I'd need 4 days." She didn't look at me, just kept typing. "You can have 2, she said flatly. I blinked. "It's a 9-hour drive each way." She finally glanced up, not a hint of sympathy. "You can attend virtually." I stared at her, not sure I heard that right. This is my dad. He raised me by himself since I was 10. I'm not watching it on Zoom. Cheryl leaned back in her chair and sighed like I was inconveniencing her. "Then you'll have to choose. We're in the middle of the Norland migration. Everyone's expected to be here." That hit harder than I thought it would. I'd given 3 years to this place, built every process they ran on, worked late, came in sick, covered for other people's screw-ups. "Seriously?" I said, voice tightening. "I've never taken a sick day, never asked for anything." She just shrugged. "This is business. We all make sacrifices." I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. Not from sadness, from rage. "Fine," I said quietly. 2 days. She turned back to her monitor like I was already gone. I walked out of her office without another word, but my head was buzzing. My chest felt tight. I made it halfway down the hallway toward my desk, past the same gray cubicles I'd sat in for over 1,000 days. And that's when something in me cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. "Quick note before we start. How's your day going? And where are you joining from?" I didn't mean to look back, but I did. I turned and stared down that hallway like I was seeing it for the first time. The fake smiles, the half-dead eyes, the posters about teamwork peeling off the walls. I kept walking, but not back to my desk. Straight out the door, I sat in my car for a while before going inside. The parking lot lights buzzed overhead like they were trying to remind me I still had a choice. But I didn't. Not really. I already knew what I was going to do. Inside my apartment, everything was still. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and just stood there in the dark. The clock on the stove read 11:47 p.m. I didn't even sit down right away. I just walked to my room, laid flat on my back, and stared at the ceiling like it could tell me what the hell just happened. Dad was gone, and not one person from that office would be there when we put him in the ground. At 2:30 in the morning, I got up and opened my laptop, logged in remotely. I'd done it 100 times before. During holidays, weekends, nights when other people were too lazy to fix their own mess. But this time was different. I went straight to my folders, not the company junk. I didn't touch client data or project files that weren't mine. I had my own stash, stuff I'd built from scratch just to keep the machine running when no one else gave a damn. Integration manuals, client-specific troubleshooting sheets, API call structures I documented myself because no one else knew how they worked. Notes from failed attempts, fixed versions, cleaned-up code snippets, config backups. Most of it I built on my own time, the rest while covering gaps no one else bothered to fill. And now I was taking it back. While I was working, I remembered Cheryl telling me I had to choose. Yeah, I chose. I started zipping files, encrypting folders, running checksum scripts. My fingers moved on muscle memory, but my head was somewhere else. I thought about Dad standing in the garage, showing me how to use a power drill the right way. "If you're going to build something," he'd say, "build it like it's got to outlive you." That's what I'd done at work, and none of them gave a. By 6:00 a.m., I'd scrubbed every last version off the shared drives. Gone. Wiped from the system, replaced with a single text file. Documentation removed by original author, no backup available. Then I opened a new email. Subject line: formal resignation, effective immediately. No long speech, no thanks for the opportunity, just 2 short paragraphs. I attached my resignation letter, hit send, shut the laptop, and packed my bag. I didn't even look at my phone, It started buzzing around 6:30, probably the morning crew noticing the missing files. I turned it off. At 8:10, I was at the airport, standing in line, hoodie up, backpack slung over one shoulder, ticket to Indianapolis in my pocket. The gate agent barely looked at me. I didn't care. For the first time in 3 years, I felt like I wasn't pretending. While boarding, someone behind me in line was complaining about their seat assignment. I wanted to turn around and say, "At least your dad's still breathing." But I didn't. I just kept walking. Middle seat, tight row, no legroom. Didn't matter. I was going home. I stared out the window as we took off, not thinking about the job or Cheryl or Hal or any of them. My mind was on the chapel in Bloomington, the coffee can my dad kept bolts in, the smell of wood stain, the way he used to whistle while he worked, like the world was a little less broken if you just stayed busy enough. I had no clue what was waiting for me out there. But I wasn't scared. We touched down just after 2 p.m. The second the wheels hit the runway, I turned my phone back on. It lit up like a damn Christmas tree. 19 missed calls, mostly from Hal and Cheryl. Voicemails started rolling in before the lock screen even loaded. I played the first one. "Hey, it's Hal. We noticed some files are missing. Could you give me a call when you land?" Second one, Cheryl, clipped tone. "We're escalating this internally. If this was accidental, please clarify immediately." Third one, pure gold. Hal again. "This isn't how professionals handle things." I snorted and slid the phone back into my pocket. That was rich coming from a guy who once forgot to tell a client their contract auto-renewed for double the rate. I picked up my rental, a dusty blue Ford Focus that smelled like fast food and sadness, and drove south toward Bloomington. The farther I got from the city, the easier it was to breathe. Dad's house was just how I remembered it. Low brick, sloping roof, porch light that flickered when the wind hit right. I stepped inside and got hit with the smell of sawdust, old books, and black coffee. Like time hadn't touched it. His boots were still by the door. A mug sat on the kitchen counter half full, like he just stepped outside for a second. I just stood there, hand on the doorframe, breathing it all in. That night, I stayed up in the garage, sat at the workbench while the heater hummed in the corner. I started digging through old drawers, clamps, chisels, tiny screwdrivers. In the bottom cabinet, I found a metal tin packed with baseball cards, rubber banded in groups, just like he used to keep them. He never collected for money. Said stats told better stories than faces ever could. My phone vibrated again. I didn't even have to look. Emails now. First one from Cheryl. Subject line, urgent documentation, access required, client disruption. Second one, follow-up needed, migration incomplete. The third came from Hal hours later. Can we schedule a quick call tomorrow? Want to discuss your situation and your father's funeral plans. Funny how fast they learned his name. I clicked reply, typed, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time works. I'll send the invite. No sign-off, no emotion, just business. I set it for exactly 2:00 p.m., right in the heart of their Norland migration deadline. I knew what that hour meant to them. I closed my laptop and looked around. The whole garage was quiet, except for the soft hum of that heater and the occasional creak from the old rafters. It felt more alive than any office I'd ever worked in. I leaned back in Dad's old chair, kicked my feet up on the workbench, and watched my phone buzz again. They were panicking. Good. Now they could feel what it's like to lose the one person holding everything together. The next morning, I brewed a pot of coffee in Dad's chipped Mr. Fix-It mug and set my laptop on the kitchen table. Same table I'd eaten toast at before school. Same view of the backyard where Dad taught me to mow in straight lines. At exactly 1:59 p.m., I clicked the meeting link. Hal's face popped up first, red-eyed, collar crooked like he hadn't slept. Cheryl joined next, hair pinned up tight like always, mouth already tense. Then came a third window, some lady in glasses with legal written all over her face. First, Hal said, voice slow and practiced, we're very sorry about your father. I didn't respond. He waited, then glanced at Cheryl. She jumped in. We need access to your documentation. The migration is falling apart without it. I tilted my head. My documentation? You built it on company time, the legal woman chimed in. It's considered work product. I laughed once, short and cold. You mean the scripts I made after hours? The guides I built because no one approved a training budget? The notes I wrote just so I wouldn't get blamed when Hal forgot a meeting? That doesn't change the fact that it's proprietary, legal said. No, I said. It doesn't contain any client data, source code, or internal IP. It's tools. My tools. Built because I was left to sink or swim. And I chose not to drown.